The stars were silent. For many years, the outer edge of Earth's solar system had remained calm. No strange signals, no alien threats, no sign of war. Just cold space and floating rocks. Earth had grown stronger, built its fleets, and watched the stars carefully. But nothing came. Until now. High above Neptune, Earth's largest warship floated in deep shadow. The vigilant Dreadnought was a monster in space. Thick armored plates, powerful engines, and hundreds of guns. It was humanity's shield and its sword. Commander Rhea Monroe stood on the ship's main bridge. She was calm, but her eyes were sharp. She had spent 20 years in the fleet, and she trusted her instincts. Right now, those instincts were screaming. "Report," she said, her voice firm. "Commander," said Lieutenant Caro, pointing to the screen. "We've picked up a spatial anomaly near the Oort cloud. Something is bending the fabric of space." Rhea narrowed her eyes. "Another black hole?" "No, ma'am," Caro replied. "It's moving, and it's tearing a hole open. Not natural, not from this side." Rhea walked toward the main display. On it, space looked normal, until a small spot flickered and twisted. Then it bloomed. A dark rift opened in the void. Sharp, unnatural, a hole with no edges. Everyone on the bridge went silent. "What is that?" whispered Ensign Yara. Rhea didn't blink. "Something is coming through." The first sign of the Vraxx back on Earth. Central Command watched the same data. Scientists argued. Generals shouted. Some said it was a cosmic storm. Others thought it was a wormhole. But Rhea had seen enough battles to know this was different. This wasn't a storm. It was a doorway, and someone had just opened it. "Send a probe," Rhea ordered. A small drone shot toward the rift, engines buzzing. It entered the darkness and vanished. No signal. No return. Rhea frowned. "Send another." The second drone entered, and this time the screen lit up. A blurry image came through. A shape. No! Hundreds of shapes. Sharp wings, long bodies, glowing eyes. Rhea's blood turned cold. "They're ships," she whispered. The scream. Over the stars before the crew could react, a burst of noise filled the comms. A sound. Loud. Violent. It wasn't a signal. It was a scream. Everyone covered their ears as the bridge speakers blared. Rhea shouted, "Mute it!" Silence returned, but the damage was done. The crew looked shaken. "What kind of species screams into space like that?" someone asked. Rhea looked at the dark hole on the screen. The ships were coming closer now, still inside the rift. Not flying like humans did, but crawling, twisting. Like they were alive. She answered softly, "A species that doesn't want to be heard. It wants to be feared." Preparing for war within hours, Earth sent a full alert across the system. Civilian ships were ordered to retreat to the inner planets. All fleets were put on standby. Mars stations activated their defense grids, and the vigilant Dreadnought received its order. Hold position. Observe. Prepare to engage. Rhea gathered. Her top officers in the strategy room. "The breach is still growing," said Caro. "It's big enough now for a full invasion force." "How many enemy ships?" asked Rhea. "At least 300, maybe more. We've never seen tech like this. They don't use heat or fuel. Their ships look like they grow, not build." Rhea studied the hologram. "Biological vessels?" "Possibly." Caro nodded. "We think they're called the Vraxx. We found old files. Ancient probes sent centuries ago picked up a signal like this. Once." Rhea raised an eyebrow. "And?" They were never heard from again. The first choice? Rhea walked back to the bridge and looked out the large viewing window. The stars were still shining. Neptune spun below them slowly. But out there, Just past the edge, the rift was wide and open, waiting. "Commander," said Yara, "do we fire first?" The question hung heavy in the air. Rhea thought carefully. She had seen war before, once on Titan, once near Proxima Centauri. She knew the cost of firing first, but this time felt different. "They crossed into our space," Rhea said. "They didn't speak. They screamed." She paused. "We don't know why they're here, but I won't let them take the first shot. Prepare weapons. Keep shields at full. We'll wait until they cross the line." The first ship emerges hours passed. Then, without warning, one Vraxx ship broke free from the rift. It didn't look like a ship at all. It looked like a massive insect. Dark metal skin, burning red lines, and wings that shimmered like oil. It flew without engines. It glided. "Target locked," said Yara. "Don't fire," Rhea said. "Let's see what it does." The Vraxx ship stopped. Then it turned, slowly, toward the vigilant dreadnought and charged. The dreadnought responds evasive. "Maneuvers!" Rhea shouted. The dreadnought's engines roared as the massive ship pulled to the side. But the Vraxx ship was fast. Too fast. "Fire main cannons!" Twin beams of white-hot plasma shot out and hit the Vraxx ship head-on. It exploded in a burst of black smoke and green fire. The crew cheered, but Rhea didn't. "Zoom in," she said. The smoke cleared, and the Vraxx ship was still moving, cracked, burned, but healing. "It's regenerating," someone shouted. "Fire again," Rhea commanded. The dreadnought launched a missile barrage, ripping into the alien hull. This time, the ship shattered. Completely. Rhea sighed. "One down." But Caro interrupted. "Commander, look!" Too many to count. The rift had widened, and now dozens of Vraxx ships were pouring out. Fast, hungry, silent no more. Some were small and sharp. Others were massive and covered in spiked armor. They didn't form ranks. They moved like a swarm. "Send message to Earth Command," Rhea said. "They're not scouting. They're invading." The stars were still there, but something was wrong. The breach had opened wider. Now more than 50 Vraxx ships were out in the void. They didn't fly in formation. They moved like animals. Some crawled, some spun, some looked like they were swimming through space. From the bridge of the vigilant dreadnought, Commander Rhea Monroe watched the chaos grow. She didn't blink. "They're not attacking yet," said Lieutenant Caro. "They're watching us." Rhea nodded slowly. "So are we." But deep inside, she knew something was coming. The Vraxx weren't just here to scout. They were preparing to strike, and Earth still didn't understand how bad it was. A distress signal from Titan Base. 6. "Commander," shouted Ensign Yara. "New signal from Titan. It's weak. Audio only." "Put it through," Rhea ordered. The speaker buzzed with static. Then a broken voice crackled through. "This is Base 6. They're here, everywhere, tearing us apart. Send help." The voice turned into a scream, then silence. "Titan Base is offline," said Caro, looking pale. Rhea clenched her fists. "They're not just in the outer edge. They're jumping." "How is that possible?" asked Yara. "They were near Neptune. Titan is way closer to Earth." "They must have slip tech," Caro guessed. "They breach space, like tunnels," Yara whispered. "Worse," Rhea said coldly. "They can appear anywhere, anytime. Earth Command reacts. Too late. Messages flew across the system. Earth Command was now panicking. All colonies were ordered to lock down. Civilian traffic was blocked. Mars defenses were put on full alert, but it was already too late for some. Saturn's communication satellites were going dark. One by one. Rhea stared at the screen. Her ship couldn't move fast enough to defend every outpost, and reinforcements were still days away. "Commander," said Caro, "should we fall back to Earth? Orbit?" Rhea turned to face her crew. "If we run, Earth is next. We stand here. We stop them here. The bridge went quiet. Everyone nodded. They were afraid, but ready. The second scream. Suddenly, the bridge lights dimmed. A high-pitched noise filled the room, like metal tearing mixed with voices screaming, but no one was speaking. "What is that?" shouted Yara. "It's not audio," Caro said. "It's inside our systems. It's infecting us." Rhea watched as the main screen turned black. Then a word appeared, not in English, not in any language known, just a pulsing symbol, glowing red, like an eye. Then the lights returned. The screen went back to normal. But something had changed. Rhea's voice was calm but cold. "They're not just attacking ships," Yara finished the sentence for her. "They're attacking our minds. They adapt." Fast, the Vraxx swarm began to shift formation. "They're copying our fleet patterns," Caro said in shock. "They're mimicking human maneuvers." "Are they watching old battle logs?" Yara asked. "No," Rhea said. "They're learning in real time. Every second we fight them, they get smarter." The main Vraxx ship moved forward. It was massive, twice the size of the Dreadnought. Its skin rippled like muscle. Its eyes burned red. "They're preparing to strike," Caro whispered. Rhea gave the command. "Power up the main cannon, lock all targets." First blood drawn. Without warning, 3 Vraxx ships broke formation and rushed toward the Dreadnought. Impact. "In 40 seconds!" yelled Yara. "Fire secondary turrets!" Rhea shouted. Hundreds of blasts lit the darkness. One Vraxx ship exploded, spinning into fragments. Another lost a wing and crashed into Neptune's rings. But the third reached the Dreadnought. It didn't fire. It opened and slammed into the hull. "Infiltration begins breach on deck 3, came the call. Emergency lights flashed red. Rhea ran from the bridge, her helmet locking into place. She led a team of 10 soldiers down the corridor. Smoke, sparks, and something else. Claws on metal. From the shadows, a creature appeared, tall, thin, bone-like armor and glowing eyes. It hissed, then charged. The team opened fire. Bullets bounced off its armor, but a pulse blade cut it down from behind. Rhea stood over it, breathing hard. "What are they?" asked a soldier. "They're not just machines," Rhea said. "They're alive, and they hate us." Holding the line, more creatures tried to breach, crawling through vents, dropping from ceilings. The crew fought back, room by room. Decks were sealed off. Some parts of the ship were flooded with fire. After 2 long hours, silence returned. But the cost was high. 20 crew members were dead. Systems were damaged. Morale was low. Rhea returned to the bridge with blood on her armor. "Report," she said. "They're regrouping outside," Caro said. "We're down to 60% shield strength." "Any word from Earth?" she asked. Caro looked at her. "Nothing. We may be alone out here." Rhea's decision. Rhea looked at the stars. "We don't run." She walked to the center of the bridge. "We send them a message." Yara blinked. "You want to talk to them?" "No," Rhea said. "We scream back." The message, the Dreadnought's comms powered up. Rhea gave a single command. "Boost signal to full. All frequencies. Let them hear us." Then she leaned close to the mic. "This is Earth's last warning. You came through the void screaming." She paused. "Now hear us scream back." She pressed the button. The Dreadnought fired a blast, louder than any human signal had ever sent. It carried a pulse, a shock, and deep inside, the sound of a human scream. The void pulsed. The breach, the great rip in space, was wider now, glowing with a sick red light. From it came shadows, twisted, alive, and endless. On the bridge of the vigilant Dreadnought, Commander Rhea Monroe stood tall, watching. Behind her, the crew waited in silence. Then they saw it. A new Vraxx ship emerged, unlike the others. It was massive. At least 5 times the size of the ones before. Its wings glowed, its body shimmered like molten glass, and its shape almost looked like a giant flying beast. "A command ship," Caro whispered. "It must be leading them." "No," Rhea said, her eyes narrowed. "It's testing us." A strange movement. The Vraxx swarm didn't attack. Instead, they circled the Dreadnought. Not close, but not far. "They're moving not like birds," said Yara, confused. "Why aren't they rushing us again?" "They're watching our formation," Caro added. "Like they're studying our response time, turret rotations, shield delay." Rhea stepped forward. "They're learning how to kill us faster." The first wave falls without warning. 10 small Vraxx ships broke from the swarm. "Missile pods ready," called Yara. "Hold fire," Rhea said. "Wait until they commit." The ships came closer. "Faster. Now, fire!" The vigilant Dreadnought roared to life. A storm of missiles and lasers flew from its sides. The Vraxx ships twisted and turned, some evading, some exploding in fire. Rhea saw it all. They're testing weak spots, looking for delays. "But how can they move like that?" Caro asked. "Their reflexes, they're inhuman." "They're not using reflex," Rhea said. "They're predicting." Wings of fire. The command ship moved. Its wings stretched wide, sending ripples through space. Not energy, but some kind of radiation. "Readings off the charts," Caro said. "It's not just metal, it's part organic, it's alive!" The winged ship tilted slightly, and suddenly its wings ignited, not with fire, but with burning light, like glowing magma. "They're not weapons," Yara gasped. "They're engines." The command ship sped forward, not at the Dreadnought, but past it. "It's not just a battle, it's a hunt. They're trying to break formation," Caro shouted. "Trying to force us to follow?" Yara added. "Rhea didn't take the bait. They want us to chase. They want to isolate us. We stay right here." The command ship stopped. It turned, then it screamed. This scream was deeper than the others. It carried across all systems, causing lights to flicker, screens to shake, even crew members to cry out in pain. And from the rift, more ships came. Hundreds. "They've been hiding their numbers," said Caro. "No," Rhea whispered. "They've been saving them until we looked weak." Dreadnought's heart below the main bridge, deep in the ship's core, Earth's greatest weapon waited. The heart of the Dreadnought, a massive particle cannon charged by a singularity core, unused in 10 years, built for final defense only. Now, Rhea gave the order. "Begin charging the heart." "Commander," said Yara, "we've never used it in a real battle." "If we wait," Rhea replied, "we won't get another chance." The ship rumbled as the core awoke, energy gathered. The Dreadnought began to glow. The Vraxx strike, but not like before. This time, the Vraxx didn't rush in blindly. They moved in waves, left flank, then right. Some feinted attacks, others flew. Under the ship, one even slammed into the side, exploding like a living bomb. Deck 5 was breached. Fires spread, but the Dreadnought held. "Repair crews to the lower sector," Rhea ordered. "Don't let them cut us apart." The Vraxx were fast, but humans were stubborn. Every blast was met with another. Every breach was sealed. The crew fought like they were born for this, and maybe they were. The human edge. "Commander," Caro shouted, "they're faster than us, but not smarter." "What do you mean?" "They think like hunters, but we think like soldiers." Rhea smiled. "Let's show them." She changed the defense grid, pulled back the turrets, opened weak spots on purpose. It looked like the ship was slowing down. Vraxx took the bait. Dozens rushed into the trap. "Fire all forward batteries," Rhea commanded. The ambush worked. Half the enemy wave exploded before they realized the trick. The rest retreated, wounded flickering. Hearts of steel below deck. Injured crew members refused to rest. They bandaged themselves, returned to stations. One pilot had a broken arm, but still sat in his fighter cockpit, ready. Rhea walked among them for a moment. She saw tired eyes, burned hands, bloodied uniforms, but not a single soul gave up. No AI could fake that. No alien could match it. That was the human edge. Not just machines, hearts of steel. The heart fires at last. The core reached full charge. "Ready to fire on your mark," said Caro. Rhea gave the order. "Target the command ship." The bridge went silent. Fire. The vigilant dreadnought shook as the main cannon roared. A beam of blue-white energy, brighter than any sun, shot into space. It hit the command ship dead center. For 1 second, nothing. Then, boom. The alien ship cracked open, its wings shattered. Fire poured from its body. The Vraxx swarm screamed in rage and pain. They fled, pulling back into the breach. For now, it's over. Caro stared at the screen. "They're retreating?" "For now," Rhea said. "They didn't expect a fight like this." Yara sighed in relief. "We won?" Rhea turned away. "No, we survived." The silence didn't last long. The first Vraxx destroyer opened fire. A stream of plasma lit up the darkness between the Vraxx fleet and Earth's Dreadnought, TDS Wrathborn. The blast did not miss. It slammed into the outer shields of the human ship, sending ripples of blue energy across its armored hull, but the Wrathborn did not move. Inside, Captain Alara Cole stood still, her eyes fixed on the display. "That was their first shot," she said. "They just fired the first fire." Commander Bishop beside her gave a slow nod. "Then we make sure it's also their last." Across space, the Vraxx screamed through encrypted channels. They had not expected resistance. Not like this, not ready and waiting like Earth's warship now was. Their battle leader, Julkar, snarled through mandibles. "They are fewer in number. They are alone, yet they do not run. They want war, we'll give them screams." He raised a claw, signaling all forward destroyers. "Burn them!" The second wave came harder. 10 ships, all Vraxx, all firing plasma, particle beams, and scream torpedoes. It should have melted any fleet in seconds. But this was Earth's Dreadnought. The Wrathborn split its shield grid, redirecting power. A glowing dome of light formed in front of it like a giant wall of energy. Then the hull opened, and fire answered fire. "Target lock acquired," said the AI voice inside the bridge. Captain Alara raised her hand. "Fire main battery," the order, echoed through the warship like thunder. Massive railgun coils charged. The barrels hummed. The first shot screamed from the ship, superheated tungsten, wrapped in magnetic fields, moving at 30 kilometers per second. It slammed into the lead Vraxx cruiser. The ship cracked in two. There was no explosion, just obliteration on the Vraxx. "Bridge!" Julkar's eyes widened. He had seen battles before. He had watched planets fall, but he had never seen a weapon erase a cruiser without leaving wreckage. "They built that for us," he whispered. His second-in-command barked. "Commander, our lead wing is gone." More blasts followed. Missiles, drones, laser arcs. The Wrathborn fought like it had been waiting for this moment for years. Each human shot was precise, controlled, measured. Each Vraxx ship destroyed added to the horror. They had invaded dozens of systems. They had conquered without challenge. But now they had awakened something, and it was not afraid. Inside the human warship, Commander Bishop stared at the tactical screen. 6 Vraxx ships gone, and they're still coming. Alara's voice was calm. "They don't believe yet." Bishop turned to her. "Believe what?" "That this time, they're not the hunters." Suddenly, the enemy changed formation. The Vraxx split into 2, wings, flanking from both sides. Their strategy had worked in the past. Cut off the larger ship, attack from the blind zones. But Earth's Dreadnought had no blind zones. Turrets rose. Hidden missile tubes opened. Drones deployed in layered clouds. It was not a ship. It was a fortress with engines. One by one, the flanking Vraxx ships fell. Some tried to retreat. Others tried to ram the human vessel in desperation. But the Wrathborn had already calculated every move, and every move ended in flames. Then, silence returned. The Vraxx stopped firing. Only wreckage floated now. 13 ships lost, the others drifting. Captain Ilara sat down quietly. Her fingers tapped her console. Commander Bishop said, "Is it over?" She looked at him. "No," she said. "It's just beginning." On the far side of the void, a new signal appeared. A second Vraxx fleet, twice as large. Julkar's voice came through human channels, translated by the AI. "You fight well, humans, but the real war begins now. Let us see how long your fire lasts." Captain Ilara's eyes narrowed. She whispered, "Let's find out." The stars were still there, but the silence had changed. Commander Rhea Monroe stood on the bridge of the vigilant dreadnought, eyes locked on the deep black rift in space. The Vraxx swarm had pulled back, wounded, but the breach remained open, wider than ever, and something inside it was watching. "Commander," said Ensign Yara, breaking the silence. "No signals are getting through." Rhea frowned. "Clarify." "We've lost contact with Mars Command. Lunar Station. Even Earth. Total blackout." Lieutenant Caro tapped furiously at his console. "It's not a hardware failure. Something is blocking us." Rhea's voice dropped cold. The Vraxx. Darkness between stars. The crew worked quickly. Comm teams tried every frequency. Engineers checked for damage. But the result was the same. No messages in, no messages out. "They've jammed every channel," said Caro. "But not with noise. With silence." Yara looked up from her screen. "That doesn't make sense." "It does," Rhea said, her voice calm. "The Vraxx aren't just fighters. They're information predators. They don't want to just block us. They want us deaf and blind." The breach pulsed again, a slow rhythm like breathing. The silence itself was alive. Crew anxiety grows without comms from Earth. Tension rose fast aboard the dreadnought. Some thought Earth had fallen. Others feared they were truly alone. The med bay saw a rise in stress-related collapses. Quiet panic crept through the lower decks, but Rhea remained steady. She gathered the senior officers in the strategy room. "This is what they want," she said. "Fear, isolation, chaos." Caro nodded. "It's psychological warfare. No alarms, just silence. We don't even know if reinforcements are coming." Rhea placed both hands on the hollow table. "Then we stop waiting for help. We become the hammer." A dangerous Discovery Chief Tech Officer Lyra called Rhea to the data core room. "Commander," she said, "I found something inside the comms systems." She showed Rhea a flickering code string, moving too fast for any human or Earth-made. "AI. They're in our systems?" "Yes," Lyra nodded. "Not just jamming us. They're studying us." "Studying what?" "Our language, our tech, our behavior." Rhea stared at the code. "How fast can they learn?" "Too fast," Lyra whispered. "If this continues, they'll know us better than we know ourselves." Internal sabotage. Begins minutes later, power blinked on Deck 4. Then life support alarms blared on Deck 2. Each time it was fixed within minutes, but the pattern was clear. "They're testing our limits," Caro said. "Looking for a weak spot." Rhea gave the order. "Shut down external data feeds. Seal the AI modules. Go manual if we have to." "But that will slow us down," Yara said. "Better slow than dead," Rhea replied. "Old tactics." Return with modern systems compromised. The crew shifted to old-school operations. Paper maps, voice commands, manual calculations. It felt strange, but oddly human. And it worked. The sabotage slowed. The Vraxx couldn't hijack what wasn't digital. "We go analog," Rhea said. "They wanted to erase us from the inside. Let's remind them we're not made of wires. We're made of will." The message hidden in the static, then something strange happened. From the static in the comms blackout, came a pulse. Caro isolated it. It's not Vraxx, he said. It's human, repeating signal. They decoded it. One sentence. The void is a trap. Who sent this? Rhea asked. Caro's face turned pale. It's from the Andromeda. Probe. That mission was lost 300 years ago. The crew went silent. That probe had vanished into deep space, never returned. And now, it was warning them. The true purpose of the breach. Rhea studied the breach again. It's not just an entrance, she whispered. It's a net, a lure. What do you mean? Yara asked. They scream, then retreat. They let us fire, let us win, Caro gasped. They want us to chase them in, and once we're in, Rhea finished, we disappear, like the others. Not just one species. Lyra brought more data from the hijacked systems. Commander, I found something strange in the Vraxx code. References to other systems, other species. You think they've done this before? Rhea asked. Yes, hundreds of times. Thousands, maybe. They use the same tactics. Silence, fear, control. Then, extinction. Yara whispered. What if we're just the next name on a long list? Rhea shook her head. No, because this time, they picked the wrong planet. New plan. Fight inside the silence with Earth still out of reach. Rhea created a new strategy. We strike fast, hit their forward scouts, use analog-only targeting, silent weapons. If they use silence as a weapon, then we become ghosts. Ghosts. With guns, Caro added, smiling. The crew prepared for a stealth assault. No lights, no engines, just fire in the dark. The Vraxx fleet drifted in chaos. Their mighty warships were now torn, burning, or silent in the cold dark. Where once they had screamed through the void, now only broken metal and lost signals floated. But something strange was happening. Commander Val Thurn of the Vraxx flagship, Craval, pulled himself from the wreckage of the command chamber. Blood, black and thick, oozed from his shoulder. Fire hissed from split wiring. Alarms no longer screamed. They had all failed. Around him, crew members, those still alive, moved in silence and fear. They had not just lost a battle. They had been hunted. One ship had done this. One Earth dreadnought, and it wasn't over. Commander, we're detecting movement in the wreckage, a surviving officer reported. His eyes were wide. It's not debris. Val Thurn clenched his fists. Boarding parties? No. Drones. Many. Fast. Too fast. Meanwhile, aboard the Earth dreadnought Saberfall, Captain Rhea Torres stood calm as ever. The screens showed everything. The burning Vraxx remains, the drifting survivors, and now, the drones. Send. In shadows, she ordered. Clean up the rest. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Juno Park, nodded and activated the silent order. From the underbelly of Saberfall, sleek black drones shot out like a silent plague, each the size of a man, shaped like wasps, coated in cloaking film. No lights, no signals, no sound. They didn't just destroy, they recorded. They learned, and they left no survivors. Back inside the Craval, the lights flickered again. The officer beside Val Thurn screamed. A shadow had pierced his chest. One of the Earth drones, a black blur, vanished into the smoke as the body dropped. Where are they? Show me! Val Thurn roared. But the shadows were never there for long. One by one, Vraxx warriors were taken. Quietly. No glory. No warning. On Earth, the High Command watched the operation in real time. Admiral Vasquez stood beside the display wall in a secure war room. Generals and AI advisors observed the screen. The Vraxx didn't expect sabotage teams, one officer said. They thought space war was about firepower, not fear. They learned wrong, Vasquez replied. We want them to feel hunted now. Do we send a signal to negotiate? Vasquez turned. We sent peace once. They burned it. Now, we send a message. Back in space, the Kraval flickered with internal explosions. Val Thurn crawled toward the last escape pod. The door hissed open, the system barely alive. Before he could enter, a black drone hovered silently in front of him. It didn't attack. It recorded. Its single red eye blinked once. Then it transmitted everything. Earth wanted the Vraxx to see their failure, to remember it, to dread it. The drone flew away, leaving Val alive. That was the message. On the bridge of Saberfall, Rhea nodded at the feed. "He'll tell them," she said. "They'll know who waits in the dark now." The Vraxx homeworld had not seen silence in centuries. Now, across their deep black towers and glowing crimson skies, silence had returned. Because fear had returned. In the grand war hall of High Lord, Zarkul, the message played again and again, a broken Vraxx ship. Drones flying like ghosts through corridors. Screams cut short. Shadows moving faster than the eye could track. And then, one image. The Earth Dreadnought Saberfall, lit only by stars, its name glowing in alien letters on its hull. The human Dreadnought hadn't just won. It had left survivors on purpose, so this very message could reach here. "They want us to feel terror," hissed General Varnus. High Lord Zarkul said nothing. He had led 100 wars. He had crushed entire planets. But this was something different. "These humans fight like predators," Varnus continued. "They strike from the dark. They let us bleed. And they leave witnesses. They want to rewrite war," Zarkul finally spoke. "We taught the stars to fear us. But now, someone else is teaching them a new kind of fear." Aboard Saberfall, Captain Rhea Torres sat alone in her dark chamber. The mission was over, but she knew it was only the beginning. She stared at the stars outside the viewing bay. Her fingers tapped a small black box on her desk. Inside it was the next message, a coded burst signal, one that would jump from probe to probe through black space until it reached Vraxx space again. This message had no words, only images. One by one, the Earth fleet would now display trophies of their strength. Burned Vraxx ships, recovered armor, recorded cries, war footage, edited like a nightmare. They would use terror like a weapon sharper than any laser. She pressed send. The stars blinked once, and then the signal disappeared into the void. Vraxx War. Academy. Training, dome cadets trained in hard silence. The giant screens above the dome flickered, and suddenly, the Earth message appeared. One cadet gasped, another froze mid-attack. Their instructors shouted, but it was too late. The entire academy watched as Earth's dreadnought moved through the wreckage like a god of war. Drones struck without warning. Vraxx soldiers screamed. Nothing stopped it. It was a horror film, but real, and it wasn't even Earth's full fleet, just one ship. Back on Earth, in the High Command War Room, Admiral Vasquez turned to her team. The message was received, an officer confirmed. All major Vraxx colonies played it within minutes. "They're scared," another added. Vasquez nodded. "Good. But what if they retaliate harder, in desperation?" "They already tried their best," she replied calmly. And Earth didn't even blink. In a secret Vraxx chamber, High Lord Zarkul met with his ancient advisors. One of them, old and blind, whispered, "We must not look at the humans as warriors, but as revenants." "Explain," Zarkul said. "They do not fight for gain. They do not conquer. They return from silence. They rise after being forgotten. They fight with the anger of the erased." Zarkul's claws tapped on the war table. "This is no longer about borders," he growled. "This is about survival." Far away on a hidden moon, a small Earth scout team discovered something strange. A dead Vraxx relay station. Empty. But someone had scratched a message on the wall in old Terran script. "We saw the Saberfall. We surrender." We are done. Even the stars were now speaking Earth's name. The Earth dreadnought Saberfall drifted in deep space, silent, still, and watching. Its weapons were offline. Its engines were cold. But its message was louder than a supernova. All across the galaxy, Vraxx fleets searched for it. None could find it. Yet somehow Saberfall kept showing up, on broken feeds, ghost signals, and fear-filled whispers. Like a phantom, it was everywhere and nowhere. Vraxx Central Command, War Table Chamber. Admiral Kreth slammed his clawed hand on the table. "This is psychological warfare," he roared. "They strike once and vanish. Our soldiers now fear empty space. They hesitate before every jump." One of his generals spoke slowly. "But the dreadnought isn't attacking anymore. It just watches." A hush fell over the room. The fear wasn't from destruction. It was from the silence after, a kind of silence only death understands. Aboard Saberfall, Captain Ria Torres sat with her top crew in the black iron briefing room. The lights were low. A single blue hologram hovered over the table. It showed dozens of Vraxx fleets all retreating. "They're pulling back," said her communications officer, Ensign Blake. "Entire systems are going dark." Ria nodded. "They fear what's coming next. They think we're going to destroy their core worlds." Another officer asked, "Are we?" Captain Torres stood and smiled. "We don't have to." Everywhere the Saberfall had passed, it left behind one thing: a beacon. Each beacon sent a low-frequency pulse into space. It was not a threat. It was a reminder. This space is known. This space has been watched. We are not gone. We are simply waiting. The Vraxx called it the whisper signal, and it drove them mad. On a Vraxx mining moon, the workers refused to leave the tunnels. They said the sky was cursed now. One of them saw a light. Just one. A distant flicker. He ran to report it. But when the overseers arrived, there was nothing there. Only the shadow of something too large to be real. No engines. No sound. Just the outline of a shape. The shape of a dreadnought. The workers screamed. Some fell to their knees. Others simply walked into the caves and never came back. Earth High Command, Audio Log 32A. We found a new kind of power, not in missiles, but in silence. In what we don't say. Let the galaxy wonder how strong we are. Let them fear what might come next. Fear spreads faster than fire. In the outer sectors, small alien species once loyal to the Vraxx began to rebel. They had seen the message. They had heard the rumors. They no longer feared Vraxx warships. They feared what might follow them. In every rebellion, the last thing the Vraxx soldiers saw wasn't death. It was a hologram of the Saberfall, floating silently above. Vraxx. Homeworld, Emergency Meeting High Lord Zarkul sat in his throne. All his advisors stared at the floor. No one spoke. Not after the latest report. Another colony lost, not to Earth, but to fear itself. Entire populations had vanished, choosing exile over war, choosing silence over orders. He whispered, "They are undoing our empire," without firing. A single shot. A silent pause. Then he said what none had ever expected from him. "Prepare for negotiation. Aboard Saberfall, command deck." An alert blinked. Captain Torres walked to the console. It was a Vraxx signal, open channel, peace request. She stared at it for a long time. "Do we respond?" her officer asked. Ria didn't answer. She simply turned to the stars and whispered, "Let them wait." And like the ship itself, she spoke only silence. The stars were burning. In the silence of deep space, the void trembled, not from sound, but from fire. Explosions lit the black sky like dying stars. The battlefield between Earth's Dreadnought Resolute and the Vraxx fleet had turned into something no war historian could ever describe properly. The Vraxx weren't running anymore. They were fighting like monsters from another dimension. No fear, no pause, just death and destruction. Commander Reyna stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the tactical map. The enemy ships kept coming. Their engines burned with wild energy. Their weapons, once disorganized, were now targeted, deadly, and precise. "They're adapting," Lieutenant Kara said quietly. "Yes," Reyna nodded. "That makes them dangerous, but not invincible." Below the Dreadnought, within the armor belly, Earth's secret weapon was almost ready. Project Oblivion Core. A massive energy cannon hidden beneath the Dreadnought's lower hull. A weapon so powerful that it needed the entire ship's energy grid to fire. It had never been used in real combat until now. Technicians raced through the lower decks. Sparks flew. Warnings blared. The core was unstable, but charging. All. "Power rerouted to the Oblivion Core," Chief Engineer Miro shouted. "But Commander, once it fires, we're blind. Shields down, weapons off. We'll be floating," Kara warned. "I know," Reyna said, "but if we don't use it, we're already dead." In space, the Vraxx leader, the warlord king known as Krevtal, sent out one last transmission. To the humans, "You fight like predators. You strike like lightning. But even lightning fades. Your skyfire ends today." Reyna heard the message, her lips pressed into a thin line. "No," she whispered. "Our fire is just beginning." The core finished charging. Everyone braced. Outside, Vraxx ships surrounded the Dreadnought. Hundreds. A trap from all sides. Reyna gave the order, "Fire!" A beam of pure white energy exploded from the belly of Earth's Dreadnought. It didn't just tear through ships, it erased them. Vraxx warships disintegrated in waves like shadows under sunlight. No explosion, no scream, just vanishing into nothing. Even Krevtal's command ship was hit. It cracked in two, split by the beam, and its remains scattered like ash across space. Then, darkness. The Dreadnought lost all power. Drifting. "Reboot sequence initiated," Kara shouted. "Backup systems coming online. 10 seconds. Reyna stood still, heart pounding. If the Vraxx had any ships left, they could attack now, and the Dreadnought wouldn't be able to stop them. But nothing came. No more weapons. No more enemies. Just silence again. "Systems restored," Miro said after a long pause. Reyna exhaled slowly. "Status. Most of the Vraxx fleet is gone. What remains is fleeing." A cheer erupted through the crew, but Reyna didn't smile. "Prepare long-range scans," she said. Kara looked confused. "Commander?" "They'll be back," Reyna said. "And next time, they won't come alone." The void lay silent once more. No shields flickered, no engines roared. Only the cold stars watched. Commander Reyna Gray stood on the bridge of the Dreadnought Resolute. Her face was calm, but her heart pounded. Below her, the ship's hull shivered from the last blast of the Oblivion Core. The Vraxx fleet lay scattered, shattered by Earth's final message of power. Yet the breach in space still pulsed, like a wound waiting to heal. "Scanners are clear," Lieutenant Kara reported. "No Vraxx ships remain in range." "Good," Reyna said softly. She turned to the viewport. The rift glowed pale blue, smaller than before, but still open. "Will it close?" asked Ensign Ho. Reyna thought of every lesson she had learned in battle. Of the hunters and the hunted, of fear and of hope. "Not on its own," she replied. "We have to seal it." A dangerous mission deep inside the Resolute, Chief Engineer Miro and a team of tech specialists prepared the Singularity anchors, two massive devices designed to collapse the breach. They were untested in combat. Risky, but necessary. Reyna gathered her officers in the strategy room. We use these anchors to pin the breach shut. Then the rift collapses and the Vraxx can't come through again. But the energy spike could destroy our ship too, Kara warned. Reyna nodded. Every hero's task has a cost. We must finish this, now. Descent into the core. Reyna donned her helmet and led a small escort team down to the lower hull. Corridors shook with aftershocks from the core blast. Alarms flickered. The air tasted of burnt circuits. At the anchor bay, Miro activated the device. A low hum filled the air. Anchors set, Miro said. Energy draw in 3, 2, 1. A surge of power roaring upward. The Resolute trembled as the anchors linked into the breach. On the main bridge, screens lit up with warnings. Energy overload imminent. The final roar. Reyna raced back to the bridge. Status! She shouted. Anchors locked. Miro's voice came over the comm. But power reserves are critical. Reyna didn't hesitate. Fire the engines at full. Point at the breach. The Dreadnought's engines flared bright white. Every reactor poured power into the anchors. The rift before them glowed violently, then began to contract. On the bridge, consoles exploded in sparks. Crew members gripped rails, yet Reyna held steady. Hold the line, she ordered. The breach shrank faster. The stars beyond it seemed to bend inward. A deep rumble echoed through the ship, a sound no human voice could make. Then, with a flash brighter than any nova, the breach snapped shut. Silence, and then silence. For a moment, every soul on the Resolute felt the weight lift. The abyss had closed. No more invaders, no more war. Then a cheer broke out, quiet at first, then rising in joy. Crew members hugged. Tears came. Reyna allowed herself a small smile. She looked at the stars through the viewport. Now only cold pinpoints of light remained. No wounds in space. Rhea, Kara said softly. We did it. Yes, Reyna replied. We did. A new dawn. Days later, the Resolute returned to Earth orbit. Below, blue oceans and white clouds shone bright. The planet had never looked more hopeful. Crowds gathered, children waved, survivors wept. Reyna and her crew walked down the gangway. Flags waved, music played. On a grand platform, Admiral Vasquez waited, pride in her eyes. You sealed the breach, Vasquez said. You gave Earth peace. You showed the galaxy what humanity truly is. Reyna stepped forward, her armor dented, her face marked by battle, but her spirit unbroken. This was not just Earth's victory, she said into the microphone. Her voice carried across the plaza. It was humanity's roar. We stood in the dark, and we roared back. And now, we will watch the stars, ready for whatever comes next. Epilogue. The legacy of courage. In the months that followed, Earth rebuilt and prepared. Scientists studied the breach's remnants. Engineers improved defenses. But every child learned the story of the Resolute, the ship that waited in the void, closed the wound in space, and let humanity's roar echo through the universe. And somewhere, beyond known space, other species remembered. They remembered the Dreadnought that spoke silence and the humans who met fear with courage. They wondered, who else in the cosmos would stand tall against the dark and roar back? Humanity had answered the call once, and it would answer again.